Welcome to Unicorns Talk Podcast, your weekly girl talk about Black women, our healing, and manifestation. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and together we're going to live, laugh, and learn to love all of life's little messes. While I am a licensed clinician, please keep in mind that this show is not a substitute for your own relationship with a mental health provider. Let's go. Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 48 of Unicorns Talk Podcast. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, and this weekend was one of the most amazing experiences of my life thus far. As you all know, I attended a Pod Connection ATL podcasting conference in Atlanta this weekend, and I performed my show live for the very first time. Y'all, it was so beautiful. Like there was a room full of Black podcasters, all of us at different stages in our podcasting journeys, learning from each other, laughing with each other, supporting each other, and just getting to know each other in a much deeper, more intimate setting. I learned so much from all of the panel discussions. I had a chance to ask all the questions I needed answers to, and everybody was so willing to just jump in and take a look, take a look at my mixing board, help me figure out like what's how to get the best sound out of it, or give me some tips on how to get my listeners to engage with me more on social media. I was able to make a lot of really great connections. Some of those connections, I went there with it on my mind already. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I need to meet this person. I need to know who this person is, or like I need to make sure that they know who I am. And then, some people actually came there with me on their mind. Like some people came there wanting to meet me just like I came wanting to meet them. So that was like, man, like mind blown. Let me tell y'all. This weekend was amazing. It really was. I learned a lot about myself on this trip as well. I really believe that this experience was definitely a God related experience on multiple levels. I gained something pretty much across every area of my life this weekend. And so, some things that are related to the podcast, I gained some things that were not related to the podcast, but just rather like related to my real everyday life or whatever. But I have to say, hands down, the biggest gift that I received this weekend was the gift of confirmation. And so I'm going to share all of the details about my experiences with that, and my experiences over the weekend during the reality check segment for today's show. So, I'm going to come back to that. You know what I'm saying? So just make sure that you stay tuned in. But this weekend was so awesome and amazing. And I cannot say enough about a Pod Connection ATL. So shout out to everybody who was in attendance, everybody who participated in making this happen. Like it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I'm so grateful to have had an opportunity to participate in that. And let me tell y'all, the girl was on. Okay, I was on my A game. My show was so good. I love when I actually get to see people's faces as they are receiving the information that I'm providing, because I can look in their faces and I can tell that information just had an actual real life impact on their lives. And that is so rewarding for me. And listen, like just the whole weekend was awesome and amazing. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. Okay. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere that you're listening right now. You can use the hashtag Unicorns Talk Pod across all of your social media to let me know that you're listening. And, make sure you share it in your stories or whatever. Mention me in your stories. Feel free to tag me directly at Latrice Sampson Richards, or you can tag the show at Unicorns Talk Pod so I can see it or whatever. I wanted to give some shout outs today to some people who had tagged me, and I am going to give some shout outs later. But one of the girls that sent me a message, I cannot find this girl now. And I feel horrible about that. But I don't know where she went out there in the IG streets or whatever. But I literally lost her. Like, I don't know where she went. But thank you so much for all of your kind words and things like that. And I'll give y'all some more shout outs later. Um, Today's topic is the first of a three-part series that I am so ridiculously excited about. No, like, I am ridiculously excited about this three-part series. We are jumping on into The Wiz. Yes, The Wiz. Okay? The Wiz. October 24th is the 40th anniversary of the motion picture release of The Wiz. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Wiz is the black adaptation of The Wizard of Oz. It started out as a stage play with Stephanie Mills, and then in the 70s, it was adapted for theater. Like for cinema, and Quincy Jones was the musical director, and like Michael Jackson was the Scarecrow, Diana Ross was Dorothy, Ted Ross was the Cowardly Lion, and Nipsey fucking Russell, y'all, was the Tin Man. You could not have asked for a better lineup. You know what I'm saying? Richard Pryor was the Wiz. Thelma Carpenter was Miss One. It was amazing. And so The Wiz, if you don't know already, The Wiz is like my favorite movie of all time. Well, it's like my second favorite movie of all time, but it's not even like a full whole second. Like, it's really like number 1.5, like for real, for real. It's like number 1.5. It's second only to Love Jones, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Love Jones is like my absolute favorite movie of all time. That movie got me through some very dark places. You know what? I'm gonna do a Love Jones episode one of these days. Y'all gonna tune in for that? I'm gonna do a Love Jones episode one of these days. I need to definitely need to make that happen or whatever. But The Wiz is like number 1.25 on my list of top two movies, And so when I found out that this was the 40th anniversary, I was like, okay, how am I going to celebrate this? I definitely wanted to do something. I wanted to do like a watch party or something like that. But girl, it's expensive as hell to get the licensing for the Wiz. And then like the cost of putting the event together and all of that, like it just wasn't something that I was able to make happen. A couple years ago, though, a friend of mine, hey Zedra, hey boo, a friend of mine and I, we were smoking or whatever, and The Wiz came on BET or one of them, So we was watching The Wiz, and we started to have this conversation about the movie, like we started to have this conversation about The Wiz and the different characters that present themselves in the movie, and like what impact those characters have, like who those characters represent, rather, in our real everyday lives and in the Black community. And that always stuck with me. Like it was a brief conversation that we had, but it definitely planted that seed in my mind. And this was like several years ago at this point. But it stayed with me. And so I figured, what else, can I do? How else, or what better time would there be to basically do an ode to The Wiz, one of the greatest movies of all fucking time, then to really break down the different characters and help us to be able to learn from that movie the way that I think it's intended to be learned from. I love everything about this movie, from the production of it to the costumes to the music to, I mean, like, there was not one wrong step made in the creation of this movie. It is impeccable. And I love so many different things about the movie, but one of the things that I most love about it is it's such a true depiction of the times. You know what I'm saying? Like, this movie is 70s as hell. You know what I'm saying? This movie is 70s as hell, and I freaking love the fact that it is. I love the symbolism. I love the visuals. I love the musicality of it all. Like, there are some classic scenes in this movie that are just like knocked down, just gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? And so we're going to dive into some of these different characters and things like that. And, like I said, my hope is that we can begin to see ourselves in these characters, but then also that, we can learn things from these characters, and really begin to understand who we are, and um, how we can best serve ourselves in terms of showing up in this world. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be talking about four of the female characters. Today is the women of the Wiz. All right. So we're going to be talking about four of the female characters. Now I know that there's more than four female characters in this movie, but I chose to do only four of these characters. And these are the four characters that stood out the most to me, and that I think uh, are the most common characters in our lives, in terms of being in the Black community and things like that. Okay. And I believe that these particular characters have the most to offer us in terms of lessons learned. All right. So the first character, of course, we're going to start with Dorothy. I mean, you cannot talk about The Wiz without talking about Dorothy. Like, the fucking movie is about her, right? So Dorothy is, in my opinion, she's kind of like in the middle of her 30-something crisis. She's in her late 20s, like transitioning into like her 30s or whatever. And she's kind of stuck in a rut. And but the sad part is that she doesn't even realize that she's stuck in this rut. And so she lives with her aunt and uncle, and her aunt keeps trying to push her outside of her comfort zone, but she has become complacent because everything in her life is good enough. Like, she's not really living. It's more like she's just existing, right? She's just complacent in where she is, and she's not really putting forth the effort that she needs to in order to really be able to move her life forward, right? So she ends up in Oz after chasing a stupid ass dog, which, girl, we not even going like, we don't even have time to really like unpack that. You know what I'm saying? Like, not really, not like for real, for real. I mean, I am going to come back around and touch on that a little bit more in a few minutes, but chasing a dog, girl, a dog. Hallelujah. Okay. But little did she know that journey would really take her into a world that she never even knew existed, but that would also teach her more about herself than she ever could have imagined. And so there's a few things about Dorothy and her journey through Oz that I wanted to touch on today. I've already mentioned how she followed that dog into the storm, girl. Like, she done followed the damn dog into the storm. The first chance he got, Toto shot out of that door, and he found himself in the middle of the worst storm that they'd had ever seen. How many of us done followed a damn dog into a storm before, girl? I know I have, you know? And Dorothy dropped everything to follow him into that storm, even though she knew that doing so would put her own life at risk. So at first, when I saw that, I was like, man, Dorothy ass is stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like she out here following that damn dog into that weather or whatever. And like, no, like for real, total ass would have been shit out of luck. Like, I'm not gonna lie. He would have been shit out of luck. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that she had to go into that storm in order to really be able to step into her destiny, right? Like sometimes we beat ourselves up over the decisions that we've made, or like I was doing Dorothy, we judge others based on their life decisions. But there is a lesson in those trials. Dorothy was terrified the entire time that she was in Oz, but she kept pushing forward anyway. The Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, they all had their own set of flaws, which we are going to, be discussing on part 2 of the series next week. But for today, we're talking about the women, right? But all of them had their own set of flaws, and Dorothy loved on them, and she supported them despite it all. Black women are the least likely subgroup of the population to date and marry outside of our race. We love black men. We love them when they are broken. We love them when they are bruised. We love them when they take it out on us. We still love them with everything in us. We help them ease on into their gifts and talents. We oil them up with love, and we encourage them to face and conquer a world that has demonized them. You know, just like Dorothy, black women, we do all of this. And the whole time we're failing to take care of our own needs. We put everybody else first, and we're willing to suffer in silence if that means that our loved ones get to live their lives to the fullest. A lot of times we're so busy believing in everybody else that we forget to believe in ourselves. And as a result, we end up believing that what we truly want in life is just outside of our reach, right? We just can't quite get to it, right? I am Dorothy. I am Dorothy. Or like, I mean, at least I was. I was Dorothy for a very long time. And if I'm going to be all the way real about it, there's a huge part of me that still is. You know, I still want what's best for the people that I love. I enjoy taking care of the men in my life, my husband, my father, my male friends. I cook, I clean, I wash his drawers, I support, I encourage, I cheerlead, and I mend emotional ruptures. But I'm also learning to put myself ahead of everything and everyone else. Because when you are the one that is responsible for taking care of everyone else, if you are not okay, nobody is okay. So that puts you at the top of the priority list. You have the ability to manifest all of your heart's desires. But if you have to prioritize yourself first, and you have to know that you can do it. All right? And that's what we learned from Dorothy and her journey through Oz. All right? Now that's going to take us to our next character, Glinda the Good Witch. So, Glinda the Good Witch is kind of like the mother figure, right? Like she's the mother figure that teaches us what it means to be a lady. But she also nurtures us with love, right? She's kind of like the Claire Huxtable, you know? She teaches you how to love to love on others. She encourages you to be the best version of yourself. Everybody needs to have a Glinda the Good Witch in their lives. We all need a fairy godmother of sorts that can help to guide us into womanhood. And sadly, so many of us are missing that, you know? But Glinda does. This is what she does for Dorothy. And she does it all with a sparkly blue dress on while she's suspended in the sky with all the little star babies because she is the protector of your innocence. That's what she does. She protects your innocence, the purest parts of who you are, right? Glinda the Good Witch is the mother you always wished you had, or the mother you think your mother is. She teaches you how to believe in yourself while also giving you the space that you need to make mistakes and figure things out on your own. Glinda had been watching Dorothy the entire time she was in Oz. The whole time she had been watching Dorothy, but she never stepped in because she knew that Dorothy had to figure some things out on her own. So she waited until Dorothy had tried everything that she knew how to try, and she was just about ready to concede defeat. And then listen, Auntie Glinda stepped on in there. She showed up just in time in order to remind Dorothy that if we know ourselves, we are always home, anywhere, right? And then she sang the shit out of that song up there in them clouds with them cute little star babies. Right? Dorothy clicked them damn silver slippers and she believed her ass all the way home. Okay? So Glinda the Good Witch gave us a message that we all need to hear from time to time. And that message is believe. One simple word that literally carries your entire world in it. Believe. Believe in yourself. Believe in your ability to manifest. Believe that the universe has so much more out there for you. You know what I'm saying? Just believe. Believe. It's one of my favorite words in the English language. Believe. You'll be surprised at how far it can take you. All right? So that's what we learn from Auntie Glinda, the Good Witch. All right? The next character that I want to talk about is Evilene, the Wicked Witch of the West. Evilene is kind of like the bitter bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody knows the bitter bitch in her life, in their lives, right? So Evilene is basically she's mad at the world because she done lived a hard ass life. You know what I'm saying? Evilene run a sweatshop, y'all. They got a sign on the door of the entrance to the thing that says, that this building is that they are the manufacturers and the exporters of sweat. You know how serious that is? That's serious as hell. You know? Eveline rules the underbelly of the city. All her life, she been told that she ain't shit and she ain't never gonna be shit. Don't you know Eveline? I know several Evelines. I mean, listen, her throne is a toilet seat. It's bejeweled, but it's a toilet seat nonetheless. That's her throne. I mean, come on. You know? Eveline is the recipient of all of the ugliness this world has to offer. So, how can we expect her to be anything other than angry? This is the plight of so many black women. Day after day, we are shitted on by white men, white women, black men, other black women, television media, print media, our kids, the church, right? Shitting on us every single day. And yet somehow We take all of that nastiness and we manage to make beautiful things. Y'all ever trip off of Eveline's dress? That dress is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. Even her throne is gorgeous. It's a toilet, but it's bejeweled all to be damned for the gods, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Those slaves were making beautiful garments in that sweatshop. Even in the face of all that darkness, there was some part of her that still wanted to have pretty things around her, or that still wanted to create. Like there was some piece of her that still had some kind of light associated with it. But we never really paid attention to that because of how dark and mean she was. You know, her signature song is No Bad News. Well, if you listen to the words of the song, she's basically saying, don't come around here with more of that bullshit, like, more shit for me to have to manage, or more shit I got to deal with, because I just can't take it. Mentally, emotionally, I can't take it. I can't handle no more right now. That's what she's saying. She's emotionally toxic because she's never been taught how to process and manage her emotions. So she lashes out at people. And then her sole purpose in life becomes to make other people suffer the way that she has had to suffer her entire life. Do y'all know Eveline? Because I do. I know several Evelines. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing about Eveline, I think that most people overlook. She melts when she touches water, right? So in my mind, that sprinkler system represents her tears, right? She's behaving this way because she's hurt and she's broken on the inside, right? And that's why when those tears or those the sprinkler, the water from the sprinklers fall down on her, she's affected by that. That ugliness, that nastiness, it melts away. Just like the slaves in the sweatshop. When that water started running, their ugly exterior just melted off of them, and their beautiful interior was finally able to come out. You know? I believe that tears are a vital part of life. They cleanse the soul, just like running water cleanses your hands. The fact that Eveline melts when she's touched by water, to me, is symbolic of all of the emotional turmoil just melting off of her as that liquid cleanses her. Now, in the movie, you know what I'm saying? She actually gets flushed down the toilet, you know what I'm saying? That toilet throne or whatever. But you get what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, you see where I'm going with this, right? So I just want to say for all of the Evelines out there, hang in there, sis. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hard and I know that you are mad at the world. You've been dealt a rough hand and it's not fair. It's not fair. But you owe it to yourself to cleanse those wounds so that they can heal properly and just allow the pain to melt away. You can't keep holding that in because soon you're going to find that your true self is flushed away, never to be seen again. And for real, that would be a tragedy. That is the tragedy. Okay? All right. And then the last female character that I want to talk about from The Wiz today is actually my favorite character of the entire movie. Like, Miss One, the Good Witch of the North. Listen, y'all. Miss One is like everything to me. From the minute she steps on to the scene or whatever you call it, like Miss One is everything. Can we talk about how she got sponge rollers in her head, but the sponge rollers is really like numbers? Can we talk about how everything she says is mathematical, calculated? You get what I'm saying? Can we talk about how Miss One be running numbers in the hood? Can we talk about it? Miss One is the mother of the community, okay? And everybody knows Miss One, all right? She tells you what you need to hear, and she don't care how you feel about it, but she always does it with love. And you feel that, and you know that because you know Miss One. You get what I'm saying? Miss One teaches you the street smarts that you need to go out into the world and be safe and successful in your journey. She gonna school you on the reality of what's out there in the world, how to maneuver. Miss One was one of the first characters that Dorothy met. She was one of the first people in Oz that Dorothy came into contact with. And she laid out the foundation for Dorothy. You know what I'm saying? She gave her the rundown on the city of Oz. She told her how to get to where it was she was trying to go. She told her, make sure you don't take them shoes off, girl. She gave her what she needed to be successful in her journey. And she did it all while running numbers in the hood. I have a Miss One in my life. My Miss One is Mama Jennifer over there at the Community Book Center. I love me some Mama Jennifer. And if you ever in New Orleans, you need to head on over to the Community Book Center on Bayou Road. And you need to tell Mama Jennifer Tree sent you. Tell her Tree said, hey, she know me. I trust you, she know me. You know what I'm saying? Miss One is a pillar of the black community. She is holding our community together. She's loving on us. She's chastising us. She's showing us the way. I love Miss One. And I believe that everybody needs a Miss One in their life. And if you don't have a Miss One in your life, you need to catch you one, boo. Go find you one. Because she is the one that's going to help you to be able to maneuver in difficult situations. Because she's going to educate you about what to do and what not to do. You feel what I'm saying? While we talking about Miss One, can I just take a quick little side note real quick and just discuss the Munchkins in Munchkin Land? Can they get an honorable mention? I'm just saying. A lot of them was female. But I just need y'all to really understand how hard the Munchkins went on their dance sequence and things like that. And a little known fact, I don't think anybody. Y'all probably never really paid attention to this before, but I pay attention to shit like this when I'm watching movies and stuff. And so there is a point in the Munchkin scene, like when they're dancing or whatever, like during Miss One's dance, right? Or like What is a Whiz, I think is the name of the song. Well, you know, the Munchkins have a little breakdown in that song where they do like their dancing and everything like that. So right after the Munchkins, they have like a group of Munchkins that do the hula hoop or whatever. Right after they do the hula hoop, if you look, pause your screen, you know what I'm saying? Pause your screen when they go back to the wide shot and then they have like all of the different slides and things in the middle of the thing. There is, if you look at those slides or those big props in the middle of the screen, they read out Delta Sigma Theta, the Greek letters for Delta Sigma Theta. Now, I am a card carrying member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I pledged in spring 2004 at the University of Louisiana Lafayette Theta Xi chapter. Hey, Saras. And I noticed that. And I pointed that out to my line sisters since then, none of whom had actually noticed it before then. And I know it's a bunch of y'all that's listening to me saying this right now, and y'all like this hoe is tripping, but I promise you I'm not. If you go back and look, it's right after the hula hoop scene during the Munchkin dance, the Munchkin Land dance, and pause it. You're going to see a delta, a sigma, and a theta. Catch that T. All right. So those are the women of the Wiz. Dorothy, Glinda the Good Witch, Auntie Glinda, as I like to call her, Evilene the Wicked Witch of the East, and Miss One, the Good Witch of the North. Um, these are the pillars of our community. These are us. These are who we are in reality, in our minds, in the world of the people whom we love. Um, this is these are, our cautionary tales. You know what I'm saying? Um, and these are just a handful of ways that we can pull and draw lessons from this movie, which I love so much and so dearly. All right. So that's all I got for y'all this week in terms of your main topic. Let me know what y'all thought about that. Did you see yourself in any of these characters? Do you know Miss One? Do you have a Miss One character in your life? If so, hit me up on social media and let me know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we could give them a shout out all over the social media and things like that. All right. Okay. Coming up next is High Five. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that there is no surprise that this week's high five absolutely goes to APOD Connection ATL. I definitely want to give a high five to Empress Nick and Jaden Hollywood of Unapologetic Podcast. Y'all put on an amazing, amazing event, and I'm just grateful to have had the opportunity to even participate in it and to be a part of it. It's so important for us to be able to have these spaces and to be able to make these kind of connections. And it takes people like Nick and Jaden who are willing to put in the work. I was talking to Jaden one night. We were just kind of hanging out over the weekend during the conference. And, I was telling him, are you really not going to perform your show at all? And he said, it's not about me. He was like, it's about shining the light on other podcasters and giving other people an opportunity to really kind of shine. And I just was like in awe of this person and of the person that he is. I mean, Jaden and Nick, they are awesome and amazing individuals. It takes a very strong person to put yourself on a back burner for the sake of promoting others. And both of them, I think, definitely showed me this weekend that this is something that can happen and that it can be a beautiful thing in the process. You know what I'm saying? I also want to give a high five to all of the my fellow podcasters who performed their shows this weekend. I feel like we have bonded. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like all of us definitely have bonded with each other to have gone through this experience with each other of the nominations and then the voting and watching each other's votes go up and down and, putting together our shows. And then I think almost all of us, this was our first time doing live shows and things like that. And so I think we definitely forged some connections. So I want to give a high five to Empress Nick. I want to give a high five to Jaden Hollywood. I want to give a high five to Social Complex, Clearly Misunderstood Podcast, and CMU Radio, the panel ATL, and Petty Party Podcast. Y'all knocked it out of the fucking ballpark. Y'all did an amazing, amazing job. And I'm just proud to have, to have been able to stand beside you all and really do my thing, and shine amongst all of the other stars that were there. So high five goes all around to everybody involved in making this event happen. All right. Today's reality check is really today for today's reality check, I'm actually going to be giving y'all a quick little rundown of my experiences over the weekend. And, one of the biggest lessons that I learned from those experiences this weekend. I absolutely love creating this podcast every single week. I never get tired of speaking into this microphone. I'm always Googling or YouTubing ways that I can like improve my skill sets in editing or mixing or whatever it is that I need to do in order to make the show better. I pay attention to the analytics, and I put thought, like real thought, into my content creation. And I actually have a running list of almost like 50 or 60. I think it's actually like at around 70 topics that I keep on my phone at any time. And so anytime I have a new idea for a show topic, I just add it to the list, and I check them off as I go. Like, I love everything about producing this show and creating this show and making this show happen. But if I can be honest for a moment, I've never really considered myself to be a creative. You know what I'm saying? Like, in terms of like using that as a descriptive word to describe who I am. I've always been a creative person. I mean, shit, I freaking painted a mural on my closet door when I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never finished the mural, but they had some birds and some clouds and shit on there. You know what I'm saying? It was nice or whatever. Um, but I've always been drawn to things like poetry and spoken word and singing and theater, but I never really saw these things as something that I could do in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, really outside of being in the church choir or whatever. I was in the choir like growing up in church, and I was also actually in the choir in college. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to UL Gospel Choir. Hey, Eric. You know what I'm saying? Or, maybe sometimes I would participate in the occasional literary competition, but I never really had an opportunity to indulge in the creative pieces of who I am. And so I always felt like there was something that was missing there. And since I've been doing this podcast for like the last year and a few months or whatever, almost a year and a half at this point, um, this podcast has opened up an entirely new world to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like for the first time in a very long time, I can literally create anything that comes to my mind, you know? And there's no limit to what I can make happen in this realm. You know? So I started checking out the other shows that were going to be performing this weekend as soon as I found out that we were all nominated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't going to lie. And I was able to find out that I wasn't the only one that did that. Okay. And so, even though I respected all of, the other shows or whatever, there was some that made me a little concerned because they were so freaking good. And so, when most of the ones that I was concerned about actually made it into the final cut with me, I really got a little nervous, right? And so, I came into this weekend feeling like the underdog. Most of the other shows, they have much larger social media following than I do. They get a lot more audience participation than I do. And I think there's a part of me that just kind of assumes that they also get higher download numbers than me. And so I was always confident in the fact that I had earned my spot to be there. But I absolutely had begun, I think I was questioning whether or not I would be received well by by their audiences, because I knew it was going to be a mixed audience. And so I got to the event really feeling like an underdog. I went into this event, prepared for this event, in the mindset of being the underdog and that I'm going to have to like climb my way, out of the bottom and like really try to like force myself into the top or force people to see me as a part of like the elite or like a good just appreciating my show or whatever. And what I discovered was that they already did. Like I didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like there were like the love that I received from my fellow podcasters. I'm not even talking about the people that came to listen to the show. I'm talking about my peers, my fellow, you know, live performers that we all was doing this together. We all went through this process together. Like the love that I received from just them was like otherworldly. You know what I'm saying? Like it was absolutely amazing. I said earlier that I feel like I got a lot of confirmation this weekend, and it really came to me in the form of other podcasters. Like one after one, multiple people came up and made sure that they told me how much they enjoyed my content and how I've helped them and like people were asking questions and it just I don't even have the words to really describe what that means to me and what that felt like for me to receive that, especially having come into that space expecting to have to try to prove myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I received a great deal of validation and I also received I think, you know, still something to kind of humble me and to definitely make sure to keep me grounded. I feel like God intervened this weekend. I feel like God designed this weekend specifically for me. There was something magical that happened in Atlanta this weekend, and I know I wasn't the only one that felt it. Everybody, just talked about how magical the events were and how the day just felt like it was just, I mean, listen, it's, I don't even have like all of the words that I need to really help y'all to understand how beautiful it really was, you know? And so, I did my show. I knocked it out of the ballpark. I actually ended up closing the show, which was a little bit of a surprise for me. But I ended up closing the segment, the live show segment, which I feel like was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was a big deal. And I got nervous thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? I talked about my bubble guts and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be talking about bubble guts with people you ain't never met before. Like, but I did though. I did because that's where I was. And y'all know I'm always willing and able to show up however I am, wherever I am, whenever I am. You know what I'm saying? And so I talked about the bubble guts and I talked about being nervous. I talked about all of that. And God just consistently, I think, showed me one after another, like over and over, that I am exactly where I am supposed to be. And I feel like that was my reality check for this week. You know, all of my doubt, all of my worry, that shit is out of the window now because I know, trust, believe, and understand that this experience is God ordained. I prayed for this. I am praying for this. I've asked the universe. I've asked God. And these things are happening. And I'm thrilled about it and I'm excited about it. And, I'm just going to ride this wave for as long as I can. I want to help as many people as I can for as long as God will allow me to do so. And that I truly mean. You know, the show went really well. I had one little incident or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But we worked that thing on out. I told him, I said, I'm gonna talk about your ass on my show this week. He started laughing, but I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. The live, I think, I'm just waiting to receive the actual recording from the show this weekend. And once I get the actual recording, then I'm definitely going to turn it into one of the episodes. I mean, y'all already know that's going to be one of the episodes. So I'm just waiting to get that recording in, and y'all will definitely get an opportunity to listen to the live show. It's my first ever live show. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more live shows, which I am going to talk to y'all more about in a few minutes. But that was my reality check for this weekend. You are not the underdog, you are the top dog. And being a top dog doesn't mean that you have to, it doesn't say anything negative about anybody else. It just means that you know what you bring to the table. And that's where I am. And I feel like this weekend was full of top dogs, you know? Everybody who performed their show this weekend is a top dog, and there's room enough for all of us. So I didn't feel like I needed to be jealous of their shine, and they didn't feel like they needed to be jealous of mine. We all coexisted, and we loved on each other, and we laughed with each other, and we had us a good ass, black ass good time, you know? And I'm just grateful to have been able to participate in the experience of that. All right. I do have a few shout outs. I want to give a shout out, of course, to a Pod Connection Network, Unapologetic Podcast, but then also a lot of the podcasts and podcasters that I was able to meet over the course of the weekend. So shout out to Three Drunken Nights Podcast, School and Life Podcast, I Said No Podcast, Drunk Minds, Sober Thoughts Podcast. Um, Shout out to the Podcast Brothers, Dualistic Podcast, The Panel, Carefree Black Nerd. Hey, Rain, I can't wait to get together and do some things with you. I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to Cash Color Cannabis Podcast, The Blunt Truth Podcast, Magic Monroe, and so many others that, either I don't remember or I didn't get a card or whatever it might be. Please charge it to my brain and not my heart. I definitely want to give a shout out to one of my best friends in the entire world, Mr. Dennis C. Dent. Hey, Den Den. I just want to give a shout out to Dennis. He donated 4 tickets so that I could use as giveaways for some of my villagers, friends, and family, and they definitely enjoyed benefiting from that experience. Thank you so much, Dennis. He couldn't make it himself because life. And so he donated those tickets. And so I appreciate you for that, Dennis. Also, shout out to my good friends Trey and Dalton for coming on out and like traveling from Texas and Louisiana all the way to Atlanta just to see me perform my show. Like they were a major support network for me, a support system for me throughout the entire weekend. And they were cheering for me and rooting for me just like, my own family was. You know what I'm saying? And so, I love my tribe. I love my peoples. And so thank you so much. Shout out to Trey and Dalton for that. I want to give a shout out to my cousins, Teddy and Nicole, Tegan and Tanaya, my babies. Those are my cousins. And I told y'all earlier that dude had got out of line with me when I was doing my show. And my cousin stood up like, who this nigga is? You know what I'm saying? So I had to go on and tell him to simmer down before it really went down out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing. I mean, kinda, but not really. Anyway, I want to give an extra special shout out to Tanaya though. Tanaya, I told you that you needed to be listening to my show because I was gonna know whether or not you listened to my show this week. So if you made it to this point, then you need to go on and let me know because then that means that you didn't listen to the whole episode. My cousin Tanaya is 13 years old, and so I guess that makes her what, in eighth grade or something like that, seventh, eighth, or ninth grade, something like that. And Tanaya has actually started her own club at school. Her and her friends have began a club called My Image, I think it's called. And it's all about empowering young girls her age to really see themselves in a more positive light, to really tap into who they are and who they want to be in this world. And I think that is an awesome and phenomenal and amazing, amazing thing. And, Tanaya is a young queen for sure. And according to her mother, her fist stays firmly planted in the air. And I'm so proud of her. And I'm so excited for the woman that she is growing into. And so, Tanaya, like I said, you should be listening right now. So if you listening or whatever, go on and send me a text message and tell me what I just did. All right? Love you, boo. I also want to give a shout out to Kimberly, who is one of my new friends, but she's definitely quickly becoming one of my favorites. She lives in Atlanta area and she came out and supported me. And I fucks with her. Like Kim is the business, like for real, for real. Check her out with mightbevegan.com. I also want to give a shout out to Stephanie, the life architect, and her sister Nika. Hey boo, hey. Stephanie came down from New York just to see me do my thing, and she was so supportive the whole weekend. And I love her so much. And then finally, I want to give a special shout out to my mama and my daddy. They got lost in Atlanta traffic, which is ridiculous, by the way. But they pushed on and they made it to my show. And they literally showed up. Like they literally made it to my show as I was sitting down to begin recording. You know what I'm saying? See, that ain't nothing but the Lord, you know? That ain't nothing but the Lord. So shout out to my mom and my daddy, Amy and Steph. I love y'all. And just thank you for being there for me and always being the support that I need. All right. Okay, don't forget to register for my free Empower Your Vision Masterclass. You can head on over to the website, latricesampsonrichards.com/empoweryourvision.com. That's EMPOWHER, yourvision.com. Excuse me, your vision. Yeah, .com or whatever. And then you can join my free Facebook group at Trust Village, which is a safe space for healing and manifestation. I'm going to be doing a flash sale this Friday on my webinar, The Law of Attraction, Unlock the Law of Attraction in Your Life webinar. It's going to be on sale for only 12 hours, okay, over the weekend. So make sure you join Trust Village or join my email list to get all of the details, all right? Make sure you tune in to my brand new IG live show, Unicorns Talk Back. This is one of the things, like I said, I was definitely inspired and I gained my confidence. There's so many things that I've been wanting to do with this podcast that I was afraid of really doing those things and moving forward on those things. And now, yeah, I feel like I don't have no fear when it comes to creating this and growing this and making this do what it do. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm starting a new segment on IG Live. It's called Unicorns Talk Back. This is your opportunity to communicate with me in a relaxed setting. We're going to be talking, we're going to be chilling. We'll be talking about the current week's episode, like doing a recap of the current episode, doing a little sneak peek of upcoming episodes. And we're going to chat about whatever it is we end up chatting about. You know what I'm saying? Probably over wine. We're going to do this every Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern. So that's 1 p.m. in the afternoon. It's a lunchtime thing or whatever in the afternoon. And the reason why we are doing and are going to be doing more lunchtime live sessions and things like that, whether it's Trust Village or my Facebook group or webinars or whatever, is because I am moving to Germany for a little bit of time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to Germany for a little bit of time with my job. I'm excited to be going to Germany, but I also really don't want to go to Germany. I'm not even going to lie. But I am excited to be going and experiencing Germany, but not all that damn cold weather. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm still going to maintain the podcast. I'm still going to maintain Trust Village and things like that. But I am going to have to make some tweaks because 1 o'clock, like 8 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening here, Eastern time, is like 3 o'clock in the morning, German time. And I'm not staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning to talk to y'all. That's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'll give y'all more information once that information becomes available, but I'm definitely gonna make everything as, even Steven as I can, to make sure that, you don't miss out on anything, and everything is copacetic or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you follow me on all of the social medias at Unicorns Talk Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check out the website at unicornstalkpod.com. Listen on the web. You can follow me directly on Facebook and Instagram at Latrice Sampson Richards, and on Twitter at LSam Richards. We definitely had lots of t-shirts available at the conference this weekend, at a Pod Connection this weekend. So I still have some of those t-shirts left. If you're interested in purchasing one of those t-shirts, just shoot me an email and let me know. They're super cute or whatever. So just shoot me an email and let me know, and I will make that happen for you. Okay? I think that's all. I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all. And until next time, be well. Bye, y'all.